When the man claiming to be my dead son walked into that courtroom, everyone expected me to cry with joy. The gallery erupted in whispers. It's a miracle. After 5 years, a mother's prayers answered. Instead, I gripped my walker tighter because I knew 3 things with absolute certainty. My son Jason died in my arms in Kandahar 5 years ago. I couldn't tell anyone I was there when it happened, and whoever this was, he'd done his homework perfectly. "Mom," the imposter's voice cracked with practiced emotion. "Mom, it's me, it's really me." He looked like Jason. Same height, same build, same scar above his left eyebrow from when he fell off his bike at age 7. He even walked like him, that slight favor of his right leg from a high school football injury, but I knew my son, and this wasn't him. Judge Harrison glanced up from the DNA report, ready to make his ruling on the death benefits case. Then his eyes found me in the gallery and his pen slipped from his fingers. "My goodness," he whispered, his face draining of color. "Phantom? You're Jason Williams' mother?" Every veteran in the courtroom, 3 in the gallery, the bailiff, even the stenographer, suddenly straightened. The name Phantom still carried weight in certain circles. The imposter's lawyer, a sharp-dressed woman named Patterson, frowned. "Your Honor, I don't understand. Is there a security concern?" "No," Judge Harrison said, his voice thick with something between awe and dread. "Not a security concern, a legend. And if she's here—" He trailed off, looking at me with new understanding. "Mom, does your presence mean what I think it means?" But here's what nobody in that courtroom knew, what I couldn't tell them without violating every security oath I'd ever taken. In exactly 8 minutes, 2 men from the Pentagon would walk through those doors. In exactly 6 minutes, the real DNA report would arrive, the one that had been intercepted and replaced. And in exactly 4 minutes, everyone would understand why a mother who'd been begging the army for her son's remains for 5 years had suddenly gone silent the day this stranger appeared. My name is Sarah Williams. I'm 68 years old, and until 10 weeks ago, I was just another Gold Star mother grieving her only child. Then a ghost knocked on my door, but I'm getting ahead of myself. To understand why I was about to expose one of the most elaborate identity thefts in military history, you need to know what really happened in Kandahar. What I can tell you anyway. 5 years and 3 months ago, the army notified me that Jason had been killed in action. Location classified, mission classified, body unrecoverable. They handed me a folded flag and expected me to move on. What they didn't tell me, couldn't tell me, was that I'd been there when it happened. Operation Stillwater was so black it didn't officially exist. 12 operators inserted into Taliban territory to extract a compromised asset. I was Phantom, the mission commander. Jason was Jason. He didn't know his mother was leading the operation. I'd made sure of that. The extraction went sideways. Ambush, IED, crossfire that turned the night into hell. Jason took shrapnel to the chest. I got to him first, not as his commander but as a medic trying to save a wounded operator. It was only when I removed his tactical mask that I realized I was holding my own son. "Phantom," he'd whispered, blood bubbling on his lips. Then recognition flooded his eyes. "Mom." Those were his last words. He died recognizing me, understanding in his final moments why I'd been absent for so many of his birthdays, so many holidays, so many years of his life. I held my son as he died, then completed the mission because that's what Phantom did. That's what I'd trained my whole life to do. The official report listed him as KIA, body unrecoverable due to enemy action. The truth? We had to leave him behind when the extraction went critical. By the time recovery teams arrived, the site had been sanitized. No bodies, no evidence. Just another ghost story from a war that created too many. For 5 years I'd lived with that weight. The mother in me grieved. The soldier in me understood. The secret of who I really was, that would die with me. Until 10 weeks ago. I was watering my garden, living my quiet retirement in Arlington, when the doorbell rang. Through the peephole I saw a man in army dress uniform. Another notification, I thought, another ceremony, another reminder. I opened the door, and my world tilted off its axis. "Hi, Mom." He stood there in perfect Class A's, ribbons aligned, boots shined to mirrors. Captain Jason Williams, according to his name tape. My son. My dead son. Every instinct I'd honed over 30 years of covert operations screamed danger, but I played the part. "Jason?" I let my voice break, my hands shake. "Oh my God, Jason?" I collapsed into his arms, sobbing like any mother would. Over his shoulder, I catalogued everything wrong with this picture. His stance was military but not quite right. His embrace was stiff, calculated. And his smell, everyone has a unique scent. This wasn't Jason, but whoever he was, he'd come prepared. "I know this is a shock," he said, helping me inside. "I've been in a classified recovery program, prisoner of war, Mom. 5 years. I couldn't contact anyone until now." He had answers for everything. Medical records showing reconstructive surgery to explain minor differences, classified debriefs to explain memory gaps, even a therapist's note about trauma-induced personality changes. Over the next weeks, he integrated himself into my life with surgical precision. He knew things only Jason would know, childhood memories, family jokes, even the nickname he'd called me when he was 3. Someone had briefed him extensively, but he made mistakes. Small ones, only a mother would catch. He put his left sock on first. Jason always started with the right. He liked his coffee with 2 sugars. Jason drank it black since joining the army. He said "Mom" too often, like someone reminding themselves of their role. I played along while I investigated. Every night after he left, he'd gotten an apartment nearby, needing space to readjust. I worked my old networks. Phantom might be retired, but she wasn't dead. What I found chilled me to the bone. 3 other Gold Star families had recently been reunited with children who died in classified operations. All the children had died in missions where bodies weren't recovered. All had significant death benefits or inheritance pending. All the returned children had perfect documentation, but subtle inconsistencies. Someone was using America's classified casualties as templates for identity theft. Someone with access to highly classified military records. Someone who knew exactly which deaths couldn't be properly verified. I needed proof. But more than that, I needed to know why they'd chosen Jason. Why risk impersonating the son of a former Delta Force operator? Unless they didn't know who I really was. My military record was so classified it might as well not exist. Sarah Williams appeared to be just another widow, just another grieving mother. Phantom was a ghost story, a call sign without a face or a file. Perfect cover for 30 years, now possibly perfect bait. I started documenting everything. Hidden cameras caught him practicing his memories when he thought he was alone. Voice analysis showed micro-variations from old videos of Jason. I even managed to get a real DNA sample, not the one he'd officially submitted, but hair from his apartment. The DNA was the key. It showed Jason's markers, but with subtle variations that suggested a close relative, not Jason himself. Someone had found a cousin, a half-brother, someone close enough to pass basic tests, but not sophisticated ones. But I couldn't reveal any of this without exposing how I knew Jason was really dead, without admitting I'd been there, without breaking oaths that could compromise ongoing operations and active operators. So I did what any suspicious mother would do. I demanded the military verify his identity. I pushed for investigations. I made noise, and someone pushed back. The restraining order appeared first. My son claimed I was suffering from complicated grief, that I was unstable, that my refusal to accept his return was a danger to his recovery. A judge agreed, ordering me to stay away pending a psychological evaluation. Then came the competency hearing. If I was deemed mentally unfit, my son could access Jason's death benefits as my caregiver. The $400,000 SGLI payout I'd never touched. The monthly survivor benefits. Even my own military pension, though they didn't know about that one, which brought us to today. To a courtroom where I was supposed to be proven incompetent. Where DNA evidence would show this man was my son. Where grieving mother would be labeled delusional for refusing to accept a miracle, except Judge Harrison had just recognized me. and everything was about to change. "Your Honor," the impostor's lawyer said, "I don't understand the relevance of my client's mother being called Phantom. We're here to assess her mental competency, not discuss nicknames." Judge Harrison's hands were trembling. "Counselor, if this woman is who I think she is, then this hearing just became a matter of national security." "Objection." Patterson stood. "This is manipulation. Mrs. Williams is clearly having some kind of episode, and now she's convinced, Your Honor." "I'm not convinced of anything," Harrison interrupted, "except that I need verification. Bailiff, clear the courtroom of all non-essential personnel." "Your Honor, this is highly irregular. So is Phantom appearing in my courtroom." He looked at me directly. "Ma'am, I need to ask you something only you would know. Kabul, 2009, the convoy." I met his eyes. 3 vehicles. IED took out the lead. You were in vehicle 2 with a sucking chest wound. I held pressure for 40 minutes until medevac arrived. The bailiff, a former Marine, had gone rigid. "Holy shit," he whispered. "You're real." Harrison nodded slowly. "Clear the court. Now, everyone except the principals and counsel." As people filed out, murmuring in confusion, I watched the impostor. For the first time since he'd appeared at my door, I saw genuine fear in his eyes. He was realizing his perfect plan had hit an unexpected snag. He just didn't know how big a snag yet. When the courtroom was clear, Harrison leaned forward. "Ma'am, I owe you my life. Whatever you need here, you have it. But I need to know, is this about what I think it's about?" I stood, leaving my walker behind. "Your Honor, what I'm about to reveal is classified at the highest levels. But yes, this is about exactly what you think it's about." The impostor tried to stand. "Mom, what are you doing? I don't understand." "Sit down," I said, in a voice I hadn't used in 5 years. Command voice, Delta voice, Phantom voice. "And stop calling me Mom." He sat. "Your Honor," I continued, "this man is not my son. My son died in Operation Stillwater 5 years ago. I know this because I was there. I held him as he died. I completed the mission he gave his life for." "That's impossible," Patterson protested. "Mrs. Williams was a civilian. The DNA evidence clearly shows—" "The DNA evidence shows what someone wanted it to show," I interrupted. "Just like the medical records, just like the documentation. This is a sophisticated identity theft ring targeting Gold Star families." Harrison's face had gone pale. "Phantom, are you saying what I think you're saying?" "I'm saying someone with access to classified military records is using our unrecoverable casualties as templates for fraud. They find genetic near matches, train them extensively, then insert them into families to access benefits." The impostor's mask finally slipped. "You can't prove anything." "Actually," I said, pulling out my phone, "I can." The video played on the courtroom screen. The impostor in his apartment, on the phone. "The old bitch is tougher than expected. No, she doesn't suspect anything, but she's not rolling over either. Just get the competency ruling and we're golden. $400K plus monthly benefits." His face went white. "But here's what's really interesting," I continued. "You knew things only someone with access to Jason's full military record would know. Classified operations, classified locations, information that should have been need to know." That's when the courtroom doors opened, right on schedule. 2 men in dark suits entered, credentials already out. "Defense Intelligence Agency, nobody move." The impostor bolted for the side door. He made it 3 steps before I swept his legs, muscle memory taking over. He hit the ground hard, and I had him in a control hold before the DIA agents could even react. "Still got it," one of them muttered appreciatively. "Ma'am, we'll take it from here," the lead agent said. "Director Morrison sends his regards, by the way, says to tell you Brick says hello." Brick, my old handler. Of course he'd been monitoring this. As they cuffed the impostor, he looked at me with naked hatred. "You have no idea what you've done, who you've pissed off. Enlighten me." He smiled coldly. "This goes all the way up. Pentagon, state, people who make you disappear for knowing too much." "Son," I said, using the word like a weapon, "I've been disappearing professionally for 30 years. The people you're threatening, they're the ones who taught me how." They dragged him out, but not before he played his last card. Your real son begged at the end, you know. Intel says he called for his mummy. The words hit like shrapnel, but I didn't flinch. No, he called me Phantom. He died a warrior. Patterson was packing up frantically. Your Honor, I had no knowledge of any fraud. I was hired in good faith. Sit down, Counselor, Harrison said wearily. You're not going anywhere until DIA clears you. He turned to me. Sarah. Phantom, I don't even know what to call you. Sarah's fine, Harry. I'm retired, remember? Retired. He laughed, but it was shaky. You just took down an international identity theft ring targeting military families. I just protected my son's memory. The rest was collateral benefit. The second DIA agent approached with a tablet. Ma'am, Director Morrison wants to speak with you. Brick's face appeared on screen, older but still sharp. Phantom, should have known you'd crack this before we did. How deep does it go, Brick? Deep. 4 families compromised that we know of. Maybe more. The impostor, his real name is Dmitry Volkov, FSB trained by the way, was just the tip. We've got contractors in the Pentagon feeding them information. Russian? Among others. Turns out stealing military benefits is just funding. The real goal was placing assets inside military families. Imagine the intelligence value of having someone inside a Delta operator's family. Except they didn't know I was Delta. Lucky for us. Your boy, though. His expression softened. I'm sorry we couldn't tell you about Stillwater. Classification protocols. I know, Brick. I wrote half those protocols. Sarah, he said, using my real name for the first time in years, we need you to come in. Full debrief. This ring, they had Jason's complete file, things that should have been eyes only. How? That's what we need to find out. How many more Gold Star families are compromised? How many more ghosts are walking around wearing our heroes' faces? I thought about the other families, the other mothers who might be going through what I'd experienced. Or worse, mothers who'd believed the lie. I'll come in, I said, but first I need to do something. After the courtroom cleared, after the statements were given, after the immediate threat was contained, I drove to Arlington National Cemetery. Jason didn't have a grave, no body to bury, but I'd had a marker placed, a stone among thousands, acknowledging a sacrifice even if it couldn't tell the whole truth. I knelt in the grass, my knees protesting the position. Hey, baby, I said quietly. Sorry I've been away. Had to deal with someone trying to steal your face. The wind rustled through the trees, and for a moment I could almost hear his laugh. I know you understood at the end. I saw it in your eyes. You knew why I was there, why I'd always been gone. You knew I loved you more than any mission, any operation, any oath. I placed a small patch on the stone, Delta Force, the one he'd never gotten to wear openly. I couldn't save you, but I could protect your memory. That's something, right? A hand touched my shoulder. I looked up to see Harry, standing there in civilian clothes. Thought you might be here, he said. Brick told me about Stillwater, about you being there when... He couldn't finish. It's okay, Harry. No, it's not. No mother should have to go through that, and then to have some bastard try to impersonate him. We stood in silence for a moment, 2 old soldiers among the dead. What happens now? He asked. Now I help Brick tear this ring apart. I've got skills, might as well use them. You're going back in, at your age? I smiled. Harry, I just dropped a trained FSB operative in your courtroom. Age is just a number. Phantom rides again? No, Phantom's dead. This is just Sarah Williams, pissed-off mother with a very particular set of skills. That evening, I sat in my kitchen, the same kitchen where the impostor had drunk coffee and told lies about prisoner camps and miraculous escapes. My secure phone rang. Phantom, it's Brick. We've identified 3 more cases, families in Texas, California, and Maine, all recent returns of KIA soldiers from classified operations. Send me the files. Sarah, you don't have to... Yes, I do. Those mothers are living my nightmare. except they don't know it's a nightmare. They think they've got their babies back. It won't be easy, telling them the truth. The truth is never easy, Brick, but it's necessary. After I hung up, I made another call. This one to a number I hadn't used in years. Viper. It's Phantom. Yeah, I know I'm supposed to be retired. Listen, I need a favor. That safe house in Dallas, is it still operational? By morning, I'd have a new mission. Not for country this time, but for mothers who deserve the truth about their children. For families being exploited in their grief. The impostor had been right about one thing. I had no idea what I'd uncovered, but he'd been wrong about something crucial. He thought I was just an old woman, easy to manipulate, easy to fool. He forgot that old women were young once, and some of us were trained by the best to be the worst nightmare of anyone who threatened what we loved. 3 weeks later, I stood in a Dallas living room, watching another mother's world shatter. But the DNA test, Maria Gonzalez whispered, clutching photos of her son Roberto. He knew things only Bobby would know. I know, I said gently. They're very good at what they do. But Maria, I need you to look at this footage from the ATM camera near your house. The man claiming to be Roberto, watch how he walks. She watched, tears streaming. Bobby broke his ankle in basic. He always led with his right foot after that. This man, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. My Bobby's really gone? I'm so sorry. She collapsed into my arms, and I held her as she grieved anew. Behind us, the fake Roberto sat in federal custody, another thread in a web we were still unraveling. I couldn't blame them. Sometimes the lie is all that keeps us whole. Maine was where everything went sideways. The impostor there, fake Navy SEAL Tommy Rodriguez, had figured out we were coming. Whether he'd been warned or was just that good, I'll never know. What I do know is that when Viper and I approached the house, he was ready. The firefight was brief, but vicious. Turned out FSB training was no joke, even for operators past their prime. But Phantom and Viper had been a team for 20 years. Muscle memory doesn't age. When the smoke cleared, fake Tommy was down but alive, and we had our biggest intelligence win yet, his handler's encrypted phone. You okay? Viper asked, checking the graze on my arm. I'm 68 years old, just got in a gunfight with a Russian operative pretending to be a dead SEAL, and my arthritis is killing me. I'm fantastic. He grinned. Phantom's definitely back. Just Sarah, I corrected, but I was smiling too. The phone cracked in 48 hours. What we found sent shockwaves through intelligence circles. The ring was bigger than anyone imagined. 17 families compromised across 5 countries. Not just America, allied nations too. A coordinated effort to infiltrate military families, gather intelligence, and fund operations through stolen benefits. But the real prize was the list of inside sources, 3 Pentagon contractors, a records clerk at Veterans Affairs, even a grief counselor who identified vulnerable families. The arrests were simultaneous, coordinated across time zones. I watched from Langley as operators I'd trained a generation ago took down targets on 3 continents. Hell of a thing, Brick said, standing beside me in the operations center, all because one mother knew her son well enough to spot a fake. All because someone underestimated a grieving mother, I corrected. 6 months later, I testified before a closed Senate subcommittee about the security breach. They wanted to know how I'd known, how I'd been so certain. Senators, I said, looking at faces that held my nation's trust. I knew because I'm a mother, but I could prove it because I'm Phantom. This ring succeeded because they exploited our classification system, using deaths we couldn't openly discuss, bodies we couldn't recover, sacrifices we couldn't fully honor. What do you recommend, Mrs. Williams? The committee chair asked. Stop hiding our heroes' sacrifices. Find a way to honor them that doesn't create vulnerabilities, and never, ever underestimate the power of a parent's love. They gave me another medal. I gave it to Jason's marker. These days, I split my time between Arlington and a small apartment near Langley. Officially, I'm a consultant on family security protocols. Unofficially, I'm the woman they call when someone comes back from the dead who shouldn't. It happens more than you'd think. Last week, a woman in Ohio called. Her daughter, killed in a classified drone operation, had just shown up after 3 years. Mrs. Williams, she said, voice shaking. Everyone says I should be happy, but something's wrong. She doesn't laugh the same. I'll be there tomorrow, I told her. Trust your instincts. A mother always knows. Because that's the thing about us old women, us mothers who've lost children to classified wars. We've already survived our worst nightmare. We've got nothing left to lose and everything to protect. And some of us were trained to be nightmares ourselves. The impostor, Dmitri, had been wrong about something else. He'd said I had no idea who I'd pissed off, but I knew exactly who they were. Names, faces, locations. 30 years of operations had given me a very particular database. They thought they were hunting a confused old woman. They were wrong. They were being hunted by Phantom, and Phantom never missed. In my kitchen I keep 2 photos. One is Jason in his dress uniform, young and proud and alive. The other is from Kandahar, both of us in tactical gear after a successful operation, not knowing it would be our last photo together. He didn't know I was his mother in that photo, just knew I was Phantom, the operator who'd saved his unit more than once. Did you know? He'd asked me once, years before he died. When you had me, did you know you'd become what you became? No, baby, I told him. I just knew I'd do anything to protect you. Even become Phantom? Especially that. He'd hugged me then, my warrior son who understood sacrifice better than most. I failed to protect him in the end, but I could protect his memory, his honor, his name, and I could protect other families from the vultures who circle our grief. My phone buzzes. Another case, another ghost, another mother who needs to know the truth. I finish my coffee, check my weapons, and head out. Retirement's overrated anyway. To everyone watching this who's ever been told to move on from grief, who's been made to feel crazy for knowing something others can't see, trust yourself, trust your instincts, trust the love that tells you when something's wrong. And to those who prey on grief, who steal faces and names and memories, remember this: every ghost has a mother, and some mothers are ghosts themselves. We're watching, we're waiting, and we never ever forget. This is Sarah Williams, callsign Phantom, reminding you that love is the most dangerous weapon of all. Use it wisely. Don't forget to subscribe, because trust me, I've got more stories where this came from. Stay strong, stay sharp, and always trust a mother's instinct. Peace out.